So I took a trip across the country on a Harley with virtually no background experience. The way that this all started was down in Iowa. I was helping to throw up a deck, and with that, some of the people that I was doing that with, my dad, my uncle, and a friend of ours, and we go to this restaurant, and the conversation goes to, hey, I have my Jeep I need to get up north, as well as this motorcycle I need to get up north. That conversation comes up. In it, he's saying, all right, I'm going to leave in 6 days. I'm going to leave on the 11th. And I'm going to go down there and I'm going to drive that Jeep up. And I asked him, I said, what about the motorcycle? I can take it. And he kind of nods. He's thinking, oh, that's a good idea. I can get it up. It's one trip for two people instead of two trips for one person. It's a lot easier at that point. I said, all right, well, let's get tickets. So we end up grabbing the tickets to go down to Phoenix, Arizona. We leave in 6 days. Well, that next day, I was obviously extremely giddy about the opportunity to take a motorcycle across the country. I was romanticizing the idea of it, which in hindsight, it ought to have been romanticized, but either way, main point, finish up my work, and I think about all of the things that I can do on the trip. I think about where I can stop, what I can do, the freedom to think and do whatever I want to do for that period that I'm on it. So I call my friend up and I ask him, I have the ability to take a motorcycle across the country. If you were me and you had this, how would you do it? How would you run about with it? Immediately his brain goes to, I'd buy a specific camera for it. I'd buy an action camera for it. And I'm at first like, aren't those just GoPros and stuff like that? Like, he points me to the good cameras. He points me to the good things that I can be using, X, Y, Z. He says, let me tell you a story that was told to me that has really helped my editing and helped my filmmaking. I said, all right. So he starts off talking about two classes, and they are each pottery classes. One of them is told to make a perfect vase, while the other one is told to make as many vases as they can. And they're measured and graded based off of one class, the perfect vase, and the other class, how many vases they made. The class that was set to make the perfect vase at the end of the semester had only made 4 or 5 different vases, none of which were perfect. And the class that was instructed to make as many vases as it could had made multiple vases, and a few of them were perfect. And he said that the story attached to filmmaking, videography, everything else, don't aim for perfection right off the bat. Aim to just make, aim to just create. Aim for the process and not the end state. Because a good process will get you a good end state. So he told me that story, and that stuck with me. I honestly, still to this point, recording this video after the fact of the entire trip, don't have a clue what I'm doing. I have my YouTube, and I have the ability to click around and figure stuff out like that, but fast forward a little bit, and for the next few days, my excitement about the trip is huge until the reality starts setting in. Until I start realizing things and seeing things that are going to be difficult for me. The reality of it was, aside from my filmmaking experience, I had almost the same with bike experience. I had not ridden more than 15 miles on a cruiser like the one I was about to be on. I came into this with virtually no experience and a desire to grow, learn, do something that is just completely out of my norm, because I'd been looking for something to shake things up a little bit, and the way I saw it, this was it. But that realization hit me. I also didn't know how to pack. I didn't know how to do really anything when it came to the bike at all. So as that reality stung me a little bit, I thought, I can learn. I can always learn. If you don't know something, you go and learn it. So that's what I did. I watched videos of motorcycle crashes and some guy talking about, hey, do this, don't do this. I watched that like you would binge your favorite TV show. I mean, I asked around, I read the articles on what to pack for a long motorcycle trip. I called up friends, family, people like that, and I said, hey, I'm planning this. What do I do? You know, the information that came back was pack lightly, fill up your gas, plan your route, watch your weather. Okay. I was armed with a little bit more knowledge at this point, but still fearful. So anyways, that 6 days elapses, and I find myself now in Phoenix, Arizona. Over those next few days, it's just hanging out with my uncle, getting ready to go. And finally, the night before arrives. And this is the night when I felt the most fear that I've felt. Because I actually had a thought. I'm doing this alone on a bike I've never ridden. And I have probably 15 miles of experience under my belt in total. And I thought about it. This genuinely could be the moment where I dump the bike and in the process take myself out too. Boom, hacks. What if something goes wrong? There's no one around to help me. What if? You know, this was my entire thought process, laying in bed, staring at that white ceiling in the dark. I worried all night that night, but eventually I did wake up in the morning, and I met my uncle downstairs. Checked the bags for one last look after I spent the night before packing everything, double, triple checking, making sure that everything was good, everything was kosher. And we walked out to the bike. And we put the equipment on the bike. We put the luggage on the bike. And I sat down on that bike. Big old smile on my face because I was excited about what exactly I was going to do. I was giddy. I was totally giddy and honestly awestruck at the opportunity that I had. But here's where the reality hit me. I looked around for the ignition. I looked around for where I put the key. I looked around for all of it and I could not find it. I couldn't find the ignition. I did not know how to start the damn bike. And here I am trying to stone face the fact that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm slightly panicking. But I gotta remain calm. I gotta stay within my headspace and be like, all right, deep breath. I'm gonna be fine. It's gonna be all right. So I am piddling around with controls on the bike and I'm trying to figure out how to start it. And I'm trying to do this discreetly while my uncle's just watching me, you know. And I ask him, I say, how do I start it? I did not have a clue on how to start the bike. But eventually we got there. I got the bike started. And my uncle probably thought I was crazy. After backing it out, I slapped it in first gear, waved him goodbye, and I was off. I was off for an indeterminate amount of miles. That was exciting to me. That was thrilling to me. And I get out of Scottsdale, I get out of the Phoenix area. And when I first see those saguaro cactuses, and those mountain hills and that sand off to my left, off to my right, and I see that 2-lane road, that's the moment where I cracked the widest smile I've cracked in a very long time. And I went and I drove up these beautiful mountain curves. I mean, pseudo switchbacks. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. At this point, I didn't have my camera out. I was more concerned with getting out of the city than anything else. And my first clip was in Payson. I pulled over to a gravel part of the road and my hands hurt from gripping the handlebars so tightly, from gripping everything so tightly. Man, I white knuckled my way up here for about an hour. And that's when I first turned the camera on. And what comes out of my mouth is more than likely incoherent. It is incoherent. And the camera angle, everything, it's just shoddy. It's just shoddy when I look at it in hindsight, but this was my first time. This was my first recorded video.
I'm just outside of Payson. I am at, or just outside of a town called Pine right now. Figured try this thing out, get it going, get ripping, get ready. I got to adjust my face band and everything else, but we are. Sweet.
Slap it on my helmet like I thought about the week before, and I mount it right here. It was on recording just the most miscellaneous countryside that you could imagine, but also some of the most beautiful. My second stop is in Flagstaff, and this is where I take the headgear off. I take that camera off. I don't record any videos because it is, again, a city, and I am uncomfortable driving in the cities. I fuel up, and then I begin my march up to a place called Page. As I'm driving this entire time, it's just flat desert roads. But eventually off to my right are these huge cliffs. And off to my left is just this expansive desert plain. And I think to myself, holy crap, this is off my right. And I have a mount right here on my right side. I'm putting the camera on. So again, I pull over to a large patch of gravel, gingerly, again, white knuckling it again. And I talk into the camera for a little bit.
There I am. I am coming up to Gap right now, and I started this morning in the forest. Now I'm in the desert. It is dry and about 103, so here we are. Look around view.
Again, the angles are a little shoddy. It's all kind of just new to me. It is a foreign concept. But what I do again is I turn it on.
That took like 15 minutes. So I have been beaten bum to get up, and I was gonna do the Grand Canyon right before this, but ultimately I decided there's too much heat in the air right now, and I really don't want to exhaust myself, because that's surely to happen in heat like this. So play it safe, grab myself a hotel tonight, and I could use a swimming pool right now.
I wasn't just learning the tap to press type stuff. No, this was just my first angle, my first time filming. I'm just gonna go and dead rack in it and hope to Lord something pans up. There's another thing that just made me crack a massive smile, because holy crap. Where was I? What was I doing? I was doing this. Eventually, I come up this large cliffside.
Holy crap! Woo!
And I'm just looking at the beauty of the rock. I'm looking at the road. I'm looking at the trucks that are passing me, making me absolutely anxious. And eventually I pass just far enough through, and I come through this huge cut in the mountain. And off to my left and off to my right is just towering red rock, just a few feet from the road. I mean, if a rock fell, it would definitely hit a car, it would hit myself. I get to the top of this hill, and it opens up to this high desert plains with this unique rock formation. The road has a little curve on it, everything, spectacular. I carry on with that just a little bit more, and it planes out into desert road again, all the way up until Page. And in Page, that's the spot I decided I'm going to rest my head for the night. That was, I believe, 200 miles. I'm excited to get back and check my footage and everything else, and I finally look at my footage after getting back and getting into the hotel, and I realized I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So as here, I set my goals for the next day. 1, I did not feel comfortable taking curves on the bike. 2, how was I going to film better? How was I going to record the story better? How was I going to tell the story better? And that's why a lot of this first video I have in this little 8-part series is a lot of me talking. It's a lot of me talking and some footage, but it's the start. It's the beginning of my time filming. It's the beginning of my time on a motorcycle. It's the beginning of my time editing, or even as I am right now, just chatting with the camera. This was day 1. The next day was the route, and I was headed from Page all the way to Las Vegas. This is where creativity started to strike just a little bit more. This is where the proper filming started to strike just a little bit more.